special meeting of the council, Tuesday, January 24th, 7 p.m., slightly after. I'd ask you if you have a cell phone or any kind of mobile device to put it on silent. We want to make sure we respect everyone and so we can hear everything. So if you have a cell phone, please put it on silent. I'm calling this meeting to order, and I'm asking Clerk Domingo to call the roll.
Councilmember Barnes.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
Brent.
Here.
And Mayor Brown.
Here. At this time, we'll have citizens' comments. Persons addressing the city council shall limit their comments to agenda items only. And we ask that you maintain a level of decency and decorum. So if there are any citizens' comments regarding the agenda, please approach the podium and give your name and your address. Are there any citizens' comments?
Hi, my name is Mary Norton, 406 Fitch Street, and I'm here to request a public hearing on this matter because there's such a state of confusion. The people really are lost. They feel like they haven't been heard, and we'd ask that you give us a public hearing, give us a chance to sort this all out before you sign the contract, address all the people's issues, their questions, and their concerns.
Are there any additional citizens' comments?
Elevator Weeks, 917 Luther Drive. First of all, I'd like to ask if the contract has already been signed or not. Last week, we were under the impression it had been. This week, I've heard it hasn't been. So I don't know. I'm confused whether it is or it isn't. But if it is signed, I would like to know what you have obligated us to in this contract. Because the first set of numbers that came out, we were being charged for 12 months for the refuge service and the yard service, which was $181. And then the spokesman from Granger enlightened us that the yard waste would be April through November. So the second set of numbers came out stating 9 months, which April through November is 8 months, for a total of $162.45. Then a couple nights ago, I see where it had been changed, revised to an 8 months yard service, which brings it down to $156.20. So I don't know what we're supposed to pay. I did learn tonight, which I was not under the impression, maybe some of you already knew, you do not get your bags from Granger. You get your own bags wherever you get them. Thank you.
Are there,
Douglas Jones, 201 South Berrien. I thought I just read that the city could no longer pick up leaves for a leaf pickup. And that was one of the reasons you're going to this one trash hauler. And I haven't been made aware very much of this was happening until I just saw it on the internet the other day. And I was under the impression that, you see, I have 3 very large trees in my front yard, of the city, all on the city. And a couple bags a week ain't gonna get it. I generate off those 3 trees probably 30 bags. So, you know, I could just keep blowing them the other way, but I also thought that the waste hauler from one hauler could be cheaper than what they say it can be. I'm kind of nervous up here. I don't do very good in front of public.
oh, that's fine.
You know, that's it. I just don't understand why the city can't keep doing what they're doing. I understand the budgetary items of it. I know a little bit about the process. And I just also, with the lady in front of me, there wasn't much time in knowing what brought this about and anything else. That's all. I just got some concerns why. And my biggest concern was about the leaf pickup. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens' comments?
Hello, I'm Judith Trine, 111 Colfax Street in Albion. I have more than one concern. The leaf pickup is ridiculous. We have the leaf where we can pay the $5 or $10, whatever it is, take our leaves out there to the tree dump, and we'd be done with it. And it's no more an inconvenience for us to take the leaves out there than it is to try to pay $6.25 a bag or whatever it is. It's ridiculous. And as you all have heard by many, we have not been aware of all the transactions that you guys are trying to do. One minute we're told it's written in stone, the next minute it isn't. We need a public hearing where everybody can be aware of what is going on in our city and have a chance to voice our opinions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens' comments?
Hello, my name is Diana Coach. I live at 1004 North Mingo Street. And I oppose to this because I just found out about it in a Marshall Advisor. If we're gonna be part of the community, we should be informed, by something, some people can't afford the paper, you know what I'm saying? We should at least get something in the mail, this is happening. I think we should have a hearing, what's going on or something. But when you read it in the paper and it's like, wow, this is shocked. And this is my first time at a meeting, so this is all new to me, so I think we should be informed. They want the community to work together, and I feel sometimes we're not working together, we're pulling apart. To me, that's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jan Pusey, 115 East North Street. I'm a part-time resident here, and by the rates that y'all have put out there, I'll be paying $100 a month because I'm only here a couple of months out of the year. So with the $200 about, that's a lot of money for just 2 months of service.
Are there any other,
Hi, I'm Wanda Zaremba. I live at 304 Irwin Avenue. This is my first time at a meeting. I feel that basically our rights are being taken away. Why can't we take our own trash company that we prefer to have? It's like we have no decisions in the makings of it. It's already decided for us what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it. A lot of people you talk to, they're saying, well, what is it gonna be? The next thing are gonna be telling us what we can wear and what we can't wear. It's just a whole lot of mess going on that a lot of people don't know anything about. I just found out about it in the Chronicle paper last night. There's a lot of people not happy about it, but again, we don't know a lot of times when the meetings are or anything either. And there's a lot of people that work in the evening shift, and I just don't think that we are communicating as one as well as we should be. Thank you.
thank you. Are there any,
My name is Paul Pullman. I live on Walnut Street in Albion, Michigan. And I was just wondering why wasn't this put on the ballot last year in November so it can be voted on? I didn't know anything about this until just recently. And I think this is a bunch of crap. We have garbage service, and then now you're taking this away and you're telling us that, we can't have who we want and everything. What's the deal anyway about the leaf pickups? They've been doing this for many, many years, in the fall, and they take them right out to the tree dump and everything and just dump them off. And they all rot and everything. So I don't understand this, I mean, I had my own garbage service and everything, and my garbage is well taken care of. Now, this is all something I don't know, and we don't have that much because it's just me and my wife. And, we don't have maybe like a half a bag a week, if we have that much. And a lot of the stuff we have, we take down here to the recycling place and we recycle it. A lot of the cans and boxes and stuff like that. So all we have is just the garbage itself. And to me, I don't understand. I don't know if you guys are trying to put the recycling place out of business or what. I don't know. So, I mean, I just don't understand this at all. To me, it's senseless. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further citizens' comments this evening?
I have another question. I'm sorry. Judith Trine, 111 Colfax. I don't understand why we have a lot of seniors in our town. Why are you going to make two seniors pay for two separate services when right along they've been going together and paying the bill, and the garbage is being picked up and everything is fine? Now you want to make both these seniors pay both bills. That's wrong. They're having a hard time going together and paying the bill. And there's not going to be any more garbage picked up just because you're going to one company than there is right now. You should put a better plan. If it was me, I would be. And if I was up there and I had a good voice, I would voice it better. But you guys could find the people that you think is trash in our cities. Find them. But don't force us into one company and take our freedom away from us. There's other avenues you guys can go down to correct the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional citizens' comments on tonight's agenda? Okay. Thank you all. Seeing none, we're going to move forward to items for individual discussion. Agenda item A, which is appointments to city boards and commissions, and I guess I should say reappointments. Is there a motion?
Support.
Moved and supported. Are there any discussion, comments, or questions from council? Oh, Councilmember French.
Thank you, Mayor. Are we going to be able to have everyone who we are approving this evening attend the appropriate training? I'm thinking specifically of the Board of Review in March. I understand that, at least as of a couple days ago, that one of your nominees still has an issue with the city. Has that been resolved?
Yes.
So it's important, I think, that we can have training for everybody, especially folks who have not had experience in serving the city. I was a little disheartened by one of your nominees self-identifying as trying to help people not pay taxes. And so for one of your board appointments. And so my concern is that when you serve on a board and when you serve on the council, the voice that you have is not only the voice of your constituents, but it is also the voice of the city. And our Board of Review is the one that handles our property taxes. And so appeals for hardship are fine, and I fully support those, but it's important that our boards receive the appropriate training. So if everybody can make the training, then I'm good. If they can't make the training, I worry about that March meeting of the Board of Review having inexperienced people without the appropriate training making decisions on behalf of the city. So that's my concern.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from council?
Is there an answer to my question?
Well, I appreciate council's willingness to support my ask a couple weeks ago or several weeks ago to actually do something we have not done historically in the city, which is provide across-the-board training for council and commissions. I've been on council for 6 years, and even longer than that. I'm not familiar that the city's actually contracted with MML and had two professionals come down and cover some key and critical areas about governance, Open Meetings Act,
Right.
all those things. So I think we're not gonna have an issue. And if the person you're considering, I think it's an alternate too, so,
I understand that.
yeah, we usually don't use alternates, so. Councilmember Barnes.
Pertaining to training, I've been here 6 years. I've received an overwhelming percentage of my knowledge from training from the MML. The former city managers used to allow me to go to the MML. That's where I got to meet the lawyers and the mayors, the mayor pro tems, the city managers. It was concerning training, the council sitting in place that stopped me from going. So I just wanted to be clear that the training has been there for the 6 years that I've here. Ultimately, council has to approve us to go to training when a council person brings it to the table, get a motion in a second. And that's how it worked. Thank you.
Thank you. And I guess I just want to mention that again so it's very clear. So as Councilmember Barnes referenced, usually the MML, which is the advocacy and training organization in the state for Michigan's cities and villages, they have, I guess, at least 2 conferences, a spring conference and a fall conference. Managers go to that, council people, elected officials go. There's a cost associated with that, but they also provide on-site training. So basically, the attorney from the MML and I guess someone else who's, I guess, an expert in parliamentary procedure will be coming down, and it's going to be on February 4th. There'll be training for city council, and then we're requesting all members of any of the city boards or commissions to be in attendance, and it's going to take place actually at the Ludington Center. So that's one of the things, like I said, I've been on council for 6 years, and that's been a vision, is to make sure that as much as possible, we're up to date about being in these positions and knowing how to do that appropriately. So if there are no other questions, or Councilmember French.
Just a final follow-up. Your list has 2 members appointed to the Board of Review, 1 an alternate and 1 an initial. If the board has 3 people in it, who is stepping off from the list of the continuing members of your Board of Review? We have Barbara McAllister, whose term expires in 2018. We have Richard Lewin, whose term expires in 2017. We have Betty Branch, who's now off.
So there's one opening, there's an alternate.
So we don't reappoint at the entire commission. We only replace ones whose term is up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, if there are no other comments or questions or concerns, I ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Barnes,
Here,
It's a yes or no?
Yes or no?
we could take them all together or one by one?
No.
It's all together.
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. Agenda item B, which I'm sure most of the public is here for, request approval for refuse contract with Granger Services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved and supported. So discussion. I guess I'll start off by just saying, I won't say too much, we'll have to start the conversation, but we actually had there was concerns about a public hearing. There was actually a workshop before the last regular council meeting, and we discussed a number of these things. I think the core of the issue is that the city is facing financial hardship, and the fund that we have historically used to handle leaf pickup. And this is actually not this council and the previous council, which actually did most of the initial work on it. This is not the first time that the city council has actually discussed single hauler. I think it happened maybe perhaps 7 years ago, something like that. Right, it was before I was on council, yeah. And even at that time, one of the previous council members in my conversations with her had mentioned that, you know, the rates were significantly lower. So I think the kind of line that we're trying to walk here is, how do we preserve a service to the citizens, but do it in a way that can have a win-win if it has the effect of lowering, on average, the cost of refuge collection for residents. So I think that that's at the core of what we're trying to do, but I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna first ask the manager to kind of provide, do you have anything that you wanna open it to council?
Well, I guess, Mayor and Council, what you have before you is the finalized contract language relative to Granger Services as the single hauler for the city of Albion. And if you recall, this is a 3-year agreement. It includes the residential refuse at $8.85 a month, and the yard waste at $6.25 a month. So that approximate cost is $162.45 on an annual basis. There could be a slight variation. We were trying to give people the quarterly rate based on that assumption. But one of the things with the yard waste is that, as was noted, the leaves may not fall down within a very specified billing quarter. So there may be a variability of a week or two, but to at least give you a ballpark of what we're looking at as the total cost. One of the things that was also brought to our attention is there's a wide variation in terms of what people are currently paying for their, just for the solid waste, the residential waste pickup. The lowest I heard was $8 a month, which is pretty much what this service is offering itself at $8.85 a month. The high, however, is going as much as $400 a year. The average seems to be in the area of $200 to $400 a year that people are paying just for the to have their trash picked up. So what precipitated this, as the mayor had indicated, is that our solid waste fund was running a deficit. And because the leaf pickup service takes a huge hunk out of that, we just simply could not afford to keep using that approach to picking up the leaves. What was the best alternative? And once we started talking about contracting for that service, it was most cost effective to also combine that with the trash pickup to get the best bargain for all residents. And that's basically it in a nutshell. I don't know if you had any specific questions.
I'm gonna just, okay.
I just wanted to add to the council, between Mr. McHugh from Granger and the manager and myself, we've gone through the contract language several times. There were some things that council wanted added regarding home occupancy and things of that nature. Those have been added. I've gone through, I'm okay with the language that's contained with it as is, so just in case the question comes up, if I've reviewed it, I have. So I'm good with it. So,
Councilmember French.
Thank you, Mayor. I might also add comment to some of the comments made earlier by our audience. Our city statute requires every homeowner or occupant of a house to pay for garbage removal. So this idea that we can combine accounts because we don't generate enough garbage to fill a 96-gallon bucket, I think is a false claim. I think it's, my wife and I are by ourselves. We don't come anywhere near close to filling a 45-gallon bucket for garbage. But we pay for garbage removal. And so for those of you who are combining your garbage with your neighbor, that's just not allowed. And the fact that you're doing it is admitting you're guilty of violating a state or a city ordinance, and that's not cool. So one of the reasons that the city has difficulty with meeting its expenses is that we don't get an awful lot of revenue from the state, so we are required to rely more heavily on the revenue we generate from our citizens in our city. So this levels the playing field. It may be hard for some based on the amount of money that you are able to accumulate month to month, but it's bringing everybody in line with our city statutes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yeah, I have a question for Cullen. I read through this and the wording is occupied, occupied dwelling. One of our citizens made a comment, and I have someone who's asked me, I have a resident who stays here 6 months a year and is away 6 months a year. So how does that fall under the occupied dwelling? Are they only gonna be charged for the time that they're living here? Or?
What we did is we modified the language for what is defined as a residential household. So, if, for example, like you said, there might be what you call them snowbirds, people that are here during the summer and down in Florida. So we've defined it as any residence that's receiving water service. So if they're currently receiving water service and the home is occupied, it's a residence, and then they get the trash service. If it's not, then they do not get the trash service. So we've kind of tied it to their water usage.
Okay, so we'll meet afterward because he doesn't get water service. So we'll talk.
And we did have an exception for, there is, I believe there were, Locust Lane and Haven Lane, which do not get water service for the city. We've built in a separate specific line just for that, to make sure that, those people that live in the city but don't get water service, as long as it has to be occupied.
Okay,
In that case.
we'll talk. Thank you.
Councilmember Barnes.
From my seat as a precinct 1 council person, I would like to address some statements that I heard. Over a 2-year period, prior to some of the council members being elected, we did have a public meeting. And that meeting was opened and closed for responses to the single hauler. Also, we did have workshops where people attended. We haven't come up with yet a universal way to inform everyone. Some of you from Precinct 1 just stated you weren't notified, and I truly believe you. Again, I have to apologize. We've tried newspapers, we've tried the internet, we've tried several different measures, notifying Rotary Line, things like that to announce it, and I'm sorry that you didn't get it. However, at that time, Councilwoman French, what's Cheryl's last name? Krause. She was adamantly against going to a single hauler. And we had to vote to send out that RFP, and I did vote yes. However, since this has come to your attention, at Mobile Gas Station, Philposh at church, I've been inundated that they don't want it. I apologize. The attorney, I think at our last meeting, let you know that we're really between a rock and a hard place because of the legal litigation. I am gonna vote no tonight because of what you want. And I'm hoping that you still keep your democracy open. I dropped the ball, sorry.
Councilmember Spicer.
I would just like to say, thank you, Mayor, that I appreciate the citizens attending the meeting and commenting and letting your voice be heard through this forum. And I understand that everyone will not be happy with regard to this decision. I know you're frustrated and you feel your freedom of choice, your right has been taken away by this with regard to this decision, and for that I apologize. That is certainly not the intent, I'm sure, of the former council as well as the current council. I just want to encourage with you at this point. There's nothing I believe at this point can be done about this because the attorney, correct me if I'm incorrect, Attorney Cullen, that has stated that at this point Granger has been awarded the contract verbally only, and negotiations have been going on. The only thing remains is to sign on the dotted line. Am I
You're correct. All that you're here to do tonight is to make sure that you're satisfied with the language of the contract.
And thus, if we were to back out at this point, the city could be liable. Well,
Wait,
well,
just,
let me finish here. The city could possibly be liable financially. And so I want to encourage you, this is just it's 3 years. At the end of that, we certainly will reevaluate, reconsider this matter. And for those who will be dissatisfied if this so happens to pass tonight. I want to thank you for coming and encouraging you, being involved with your city government, and that if there's any suggestions that any of you have as to how we could communicate with you better, to notify you of matters going on, we are all certainly open to those suggestions. I do believe every one of us is. So I thank you again for your time and attendance, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Council, sorry. Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I have talked with quite a few people in the community about specifically the leaf pickup part of the single hauler. And a lot of them are stressing that why will we not use the tree dump and let them take care of their own leaves. I know it costs like $5 to use the tree dump. It is revenue for the city, so that is one thing that I'm concerned about, and wondered why, or if we have thought about that. My other concern is for our seniors that only have a bag or two a week. Will they be able, is there some way that we could put in the language that they be charged for the bags that they may use? If they have 1 or 2 bags, charge them $2 a bag?
For garbage or
For their garbage. I'm just throwing something out there, but
okay.
the main concern is the leaf pickup, and people would like to do away with their own leaves, or however they do it, whoever they got coming in with it. And if we could use our own tree dump, that's revenue for us. And have we thought about it?
Okay. Well, I'll let Councilmember French go, and then I'll respond.
So I can address that, Councilman Lawler. We did consider it, but the vast majority of our citizens don't have means to bag their leaves and haul them to the tree dump and get them to the tree dump.
They don't have the means to drag them to the curb either, or
Well,
put them in a bag.
Well, they do. It's easier to put them in a bag and leave them at your curb than it is to put them in a bag and then find someone who can drive your leaves to the tree dump. So I understand the concern. And again, I think that the argument about seniors who don't generate a lot of garbage somehow getting a discounted rate, I understand that. The volume of garbage is not the expensive part. The expensive part of any garbage removal is the guy in the truck and the truck driving to the house. How much they put in that truck is really not that relevant, because the disposal cost by the truckload is not a tremendous part of the thing. It's the labor of someone in a truck. The other thing I wanted to add was our city managers put a sign-up sheet on the podium. So anybody who wants to get the weekly newsletter that our city manager generates can put their email address on there, and her assistant or her will add that to the list. And there are several hundred, if not more, people who receive that weekly email. And it's a really valuable resource because we get all the news about what's coming out of the city government. And so I would encourage you, for a lot of you first-timers, it's great that you're here. We love that you're here and that you're passionate about ideas. So sign up, be informed, and be engaged. It makes our job as city council people easier. So, thank you.
Councilmember.
And you can view
Councilmember Reed.
the whole city council meeting on, what's the website?
On YouTube. Well, actually, that's a very good point, actually. So, how long? Probably at least a year and a half, maybe?
Yeah.
For over a year, all the city council meetings have been posted on YouTube. And that's something that, by the end of the meeting, hopefully I can find, if you want to know the address, we can share, so.
It's on Cheryl's weekly.
It's on the website, so I want, yeah, it's on, so Facebook, YouTube, the website, the newsletters, and then there has been some media coverage in local.
And the meetings are the first and third Mondays of each month. Unless there's a special meeting, it'll be announced too.
And I think going forward, regardless of how the vote goes, that's something that, hopefully during my term, the city can take a real good look at in terms of communicating better and crossing the kind of divides in the community, because everyone does not get, local news outlets. Everyone doesn't have access to the internet. Everyone is not in a position, because I think someone was saying about work schedules, like if you have a third shift, you're not going to make this meeting. So that's something that I am aware of, and that's going to be a priority, at least from me, to make sure that we can find some solutions to that. So in order, I'm going to go to the city attorney, Councilmember Barnes, and Councilmember Lawler.
I wanted to let the council know, and to a certain extent, at least try to alleviate concern or put your minds at ease that, I guess in the past few weeks, there's been several questions or statements on various social media pages or wherever about, does the city have the authority to do this? This creates a monopoly, things of that nature. I want you to know that both myself and my office have done the case research on it. There's several Michigan Court of Appeals and Supreme Court cases directly on point where this has been addressed in Grand Rapids and other communities, and the courts have specifically ruled that it does not infringe on the Commerce Clause, it does not infringe on, it does not create a monopoly. It is completely within the purview of the city to do this. So I want you to know that you have not only my opinion, but the Michigan appellate courts have ruled repeatedly that this is permitted. So
I think, and actually okay, I'm sorry, I'll do that and I'll comment.
I would just like to have some clarity for the audience. The agenda item here is to request the approval of this item. I support my city manager wholeheartedly. However, for the clarity, there's a motion on the floor and there's a second. There will be a vote taken for this to pass or not. I'm not trying to sway anybody's vote, but to the detriment of the city, if the vote fails, the detriment comes forward. But this council still has the power not to see this through.
Councilmember Lawler.
Yes, this question, will I be able to ask the
Yeah, that's fine.
Granger questions? For the yardways, it is from April to November, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So that's 8 months?
Yes, I believe it's 8 months.
Okay, so, and I see on here quarters 1 through 3. How are the quarters divided? Do you just start January, February, March, and then go April, May, June?
Yeah, we'll, since this, anticipating when we started this, the service would start in the month of April, I would imagine that I would begin everything on in April for April advanced building. So I think, that just happens to be the exact quarter that would be January also.
Okay.
So January, April, July, October.
Okay, so, in the contract, will, adjustments be made for just, the yard waste being charged for just 8 months instead of 9?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the materials that, these materials or whatnot, but, yes, we will make a billing adjustment seasonally for the yard waste. And so, because the yard waste is things will be billed in advance. So, for example, the invoice or bill that comes for the first quarter for April, May, and June will all have yard waste on it. So when we get to the end of the season though, for example, if you started in April, you know, I'm following that along, it would be October, November, December would be the end of the year quarter. That particular invoice would have 2 months of yard waste on it, October and November, but none for December. So that bill would be adjusted and seem less than the others. And then again, January, February, March, no yard waste on that. So again, however, though, say you move into the city and start service in February, you know, next year, then your cycle would be February, March, April. It would roll, and we would account for all of that in our invoicing.
Do you have any further questions?
I think he answered my 2 questions that I had.
Okay. Attorney Hartnett.
I just wanted to let the council know I'm not sure where the question or where the issue with the 8 or 9 months is, but if you look on the page, on the middle of page 5 of 10, there's a superscript number 1 that indicates that yard waste service will be weekly from April 1 to November 30th.
Okay.
Mayor,
Councilmember Spicer.
thank you. I was wanting to ask this before Colin spoke because it's going to require him to speak again, and maybe he cannot elaborate. Maybe yes or no answer will be required. However, I wanted to know, can you specifically tell us what liability the city would be held with regard to the matter that if we didn't move forward with this tonight to approve this matter? Being that we've been negotiating with them behind the scenes, we have written documents, we verbally informed them that they have been awarded the what is it, RPF?
RFP.
There you go. So can you elaborate or?
Sure. I guess what I would tell council is there's 2 concerns that I would have about changing direction at this point. One is you've put out an RFP. Several individuals have responded to the RFP. You've deliberated on the RFP, and then you've communicated to the company that you want to accept that we are accepting. So I don't know to what extent Granger may have relied on that representation at this point. Maybe they've started ordering materials. Maybe they haven't. I don't know, but you know, and certainly Sean is a nice guy, and maybe they haven't done anything. But the flip side of the coin is also the other waste servicers in the city have also been made aware that we will be moving to single hauler. Some of them have already been taking steps to transition away from serving people, such as getting refunds set up. We have and we've notified them that they're not going to be conducting business in the city after April 1st. So to what extent those waste haulers have relied on our representations that we're not going to be licensing them, we're going to be contracting with somebody else, there's potential liability there. So my concern for the city is in not moving forward when you've gotten to this point is you're setting yourself up for liability from every one of those companies.
Yeah. Just as a point of order, how the meetings, and I should have done this because I mentioned I was going to do this last time. We basically have a period for public comment, and then the council deliberates, and so then there should be another space for citizens' comment at the end for those. So that's, you know, if this was a work session, you know, I think I would do that, but I think we're just, it is a meeting, so I want to make sure that we maintain some order. So, Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Attorney.
I have a 2-part question. How many months did we hire city workers for leaf pickup? Do we know that?
Is Jim here?
The temporary workers.
Can I have him address? Mr. Leonardson?
You don't actually hire people because that's a whole job description year-round.
So, can you describe, and if I'm understanding you correctly, understanding Councilmember Lawler's question correctly, you're asking what the configuration that we have historically used for leaf pickup, right?
Right. How many months did we hire for leaf pickup, and the reason why I'm asking is I'm trying to see, does April to November, is that a lot, or is that just about right for those 8 months?
It depends on the season, obviously. Some years, like this year, leaves didn't fall till December. Normally, we'll hire part-time people for 4 months. It's normally in the fall season, obviously, until the leaf pickup is completed. We did something a little different this year. We brought them on a little longer, but they did some other things besides the leaf pickup as well.
And, go ahead.
So about like 4 to 6 months we hired for leaf pickup, right? Like 4 to 6 months?
Correct.
Give or take?
Correct, and these are part-time people.
Right.
So.
Okay. The reason why I asked is because I had also had a question about the length of time that for the leaf pickup. So I was trying to see if the people that were doing the leaf pickup, how long did we give them to pick the leaves up? And I see we're giving the single hauler like an extra 2 months when we only used, when we were doing it, like 4 to 6 months.
I think,
Just the leaf part.
so taking your question, I don't want to answer, but I want to kind of, maybe this gets to the heart of it. So I guess historically, since we've done leaf pickup, that's usually taken the form of, basically, we've divided the city into 4 parts.
Correct.
And we scheduled periods of time where the workers go in and remove leaves that hopefully have not been put in the street, but right there next to the curb. And if we happen to pass your area, and you're not there and you haven't raked it, what happens in that situation?
Normally what will happen is that we'll make a second sweep through town, which obviously is costly for us to do. But again, that's seasonal dependent. It depends on when the leaves come down. Also, it depends upon whether or not, as you say, the citizens get their leaves to the edge of the curb. If not, we try to do the best we can late fall, early winter to get those picked up so that we're not clogging the storm drains and the storm sewer system, which would create further issues for us.
Okay, and then the other question is a question for the Grange representative. It's a simple question, but it's important. Can you define yard waste? Because we've talked a lot about leaves, but yards can, there's things that, I wanted to say it publicly, yeah. There are other things that happen in yards that don't occur, let's say in fall, when that service is running. So can you
Absolutely.
make that public?
Yeah, and for the record, I'm Sean McHugh from Granger Waste Services. So, according to the agreement that we're putting together here, the term yard waste, and this is a standard term used in our industry. There might be some variations, but this is basically it. Refers to yard waste. The term yard waste refers to leaves, grass clippings, excess fruit from trees, weeds, hedge clippings, garden waste, twigs, brush, not exceeding 2 inches in diameter, 4 feet in length, or 30 pounds per bag or bundle. Excluded are tree stumps, limbs, branches, and material from the removal of trees, bushes, and similar.
Okay. And so basically, in the period, I guess, out of the fall season, residents still, if they're maintaining a yard, can dispose of yard waste.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In the season, our season runs from those dates, from April to November, because of the the material is composted. And that is an expensive scientific, procedure that we do with the material in order to make it into actual, follow all of the state regulations, all the DEQ, follow all those to make that into compost. We have procedures we can't vary from. So, yep, I understand that maybe in December there's stuff that fall and, typically that stuff gets taken care of. You kind of hold it over for the next season or whatnot, or self-haul it. But sometimes, if we can, it's raining and 60 degrees in January this year. We can try to make, exceptions for that, but really we probably will fall in the lines of sticking to our system, because I don't want to risk that whole procedure from everywhere for just an extra week here, week there.
Yeah, I just wanted the public to actually, hear, because we have the documents, but hear what's considered yard waste. And then back to Councilmember Lawler's question, the heart of your question basically was it how much we were paying to run the servers, or how much it would cost? Was that for the period of time, or?
The reason for me asking that question is the citizens thought the 8 months was too long.
Okay.
So that's why I was asking.
Okay.
How many months did we normally pick up the leaves? And then the rest of the times that we didn't pick up the leaves, they did use tree dump. So, I was just trying to address the concern about the 8 months versus what we actually had was 6 months. Why aren't we paying for just the 6 months like we use, and let them use the tree dump for or whatever else wasn't covered?
Okay. Councilmember Spicer.
Question for Mr. McEwen. Is it McEwen? McHugh.
Nice job.
Earlier, last week I believe it was, I heard some citizens here indicate that they had never heard of Granger, and then some people have said they heard of you, but they don't know anything about you. Can you briefly summarize in like 2 minutes, Granger?
Sure.
Location, home-based, any roads?
Absolutely.
Reliable mayor?
Oh, no, absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you. Granger is a 50-year-old family-owned company based in Lansing, Michigan. And the Granger brothers began as a construction company in Lansing in 1966 or earlier. They had a problem when they were doing construction. They had to get rid of their waste material. So unbelievably, they couldn't find somebody to haul their trash away. So they bought a truck and started hauling it away for themselves. Eventually, they bought another truck and started doing it for others. And eventually purchased and developed 2 landfills in Lansing. Earlier in the 1980s, on the landfills, they had the idea of capturing the gas, the methane that comes off of those landfills to create power. And so at the time, it went to GM and their suppliers. And we started the first landfill gas to energy project in Michigan. It was not a new concept in 1984, but to find somebody to actually do it was unique, and we started that. Today, the Granger company is a conglomerate of companies that creates energy, creates electricity and gas for direct use in 6 states. We also sell our electricity to the Lansing Board of Water and Light, and produce enough energy to power about 15,000 homes. We are a landfill developer and waste hauler from Clare down through the southern border of Jackson to Kent County on the west, and all the way over east of, say, Pinckney in the east part of the state. We have about 200,000 customers here in Michigan, and we're proud to be a Michigan company. Our incorporation is here in Michigan. The Granger family is committed to Michigan and to the mid-Michigan area, and their efforts are centered around the communities that we serve.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Are there any other,
Can I call the question?
well, we had a supermajority vote for that, so I mean, I was just gonna ask if there are any other questions, or Councilmember Lawler.
I guess this question is for us. How will we, notify the citizens as to, when their service will start and
So
things like that?
I think Sean can talk to the rollout and notification.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna handle that in conjunction with the city. We definitely wanna do the smoothest transition possible. So, this is not my first transition of anything this size, or, we've done, cities with larger amounts to communicate to, and even much smaller. So, what we're gonna do is, we'll have a process of letting each household know, here's what's happening, here's your welcome information. They'll get automatically signed up, they'll get you'll get your first invoice beginning this point, here's what it pays for, here's how you can pay your bill online, call us, whatnot, here's how to get a hold of us, here's how to use your service, here's your service day. We have all of that material in a packet that each resident will get, or each household will get, and we'll make the transition from there. I'm envisioning, the city manager and I have not gone through detailed plans, but I'm envisioning that the city and Granger will do something together that, in partnership, something co-branded, so to speak, to get the word out.
I would think potentially, oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I would think potentially something to the water bills too, because, you have to have water to.
I think we've all, noticed today about communication is a big thing. So we want to be able to hit it from as many angles as we can. We certainly want people to open their mail, but we also know that some people won't. So will they get a welcome letter? Yes. Will they read it? I don't know. So a certain percentage aren't going to read it, and a certain percentage aren't going to read something from the city either. But what we understand is that's going to happen. So when somebody's service day is changed and it's missed, what we try to do is we try to figure that out for them and help them say, yep, here's a transition that happened with the city, and we're going to help you understand, here's where we're going, and here's the material you might have missed.
So we'll be sending out notices through their water bill?
That's, I don't think it's been.
You don't know yet?
It has not been finalized. That is one of the approaches that we can attempt to assist, but what he is indicating is there will be a packet to each household. So they'll get that notification that way. We'll still use our normal means of notification, including the website and newsletters and posters, and the council members going out in their precinct and talking with individuals.
Door knocking.
And if it makes sense to also utilize the water bills, we'll incorporate that as well, but we'll try every means that we can think of.
Councilmember Barnes.
Is Councilman French's question being still recognized if it is out second?
No, I withdrew it.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other, well, actually, that's a good point, actually, and I apologize, because I should have asked for a second for that. I just wanted to make sure.
I withdrew it as you were clarifying your position.
Yeah.
So I'm fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we knew that if we did call the question, it usually takes 5 votes, but that doesn't mean that we still could have had that motion, so I apologize. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote to approve the refuge and yard waste contract with Granger Services for the 3-year period.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes,
No.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. At this point, we have citizens' comments. Citizens addressing city council shall limit their comments to no more than 5 minutes, and we're asking for proper decorum, and this can be about any topic, agenda items, or any other general topic. So are there any citizen comments?
Hopefully I'll calm down a little bit since earlier, but Doug Jones, 201 South Berrien. I remember back in the past when the one hauler came up, it was mainly about the trash, if I'm correct. And about the leaf pickup. I showed up to the street department for 29 plus years. I was supervisor for the last 7 completely by myself, except with Harry Long and your new superintendent, or assistant DPW director, whatever you call it. But usually there was, the seasonals came on for 7 weeks. They started the first week before December, 1 to 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks in before Christmas. But you will find that there's a whole lot of leaves that are gonna fall into the street. You wanna keep your catch basins open and your catch basins clean. There's a whole lot more to this whole thing than what meets the eye for just leaf pickup. There's a reason why cities pick up leaves. It's because of the problems that it causes is one of the biggest reasons cities do that. And if you know Battle Creek, they opted either for Christmas decorations or leaf pickup, and they opted for Christmas decorations. But they gave, if I'm correct, it's, you can buy bags from them like a lot of other cities do. But you're saving me 1/3 on my trash costs, so mine isn't about the trash. It's mainly about what you will find, just like snow and leaves. You're gonna see a lot of leaves in the street. People are gonna keep putting them in the street. I've watched a lot of the ordinances just go by the wayside as I'm watching them today. A lot of them. And I was on the streets every day for 29 plus years, and I've seen it. And all I can say is good luck, because you're gonna need it, especially at the beginning of this. And I don't know what you're gonna do to the ones that say they're gonna do it anyway. And there's gonna be more than that than what we'll like. And that's all. There's more to this whole thing, and hopefully the city doesn't experience too many bad things behind it. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Are there any further citizens' comments? Okay. Oh.
Later weeks, 917 Luther Drive. I know whatever I say is not gonna do any good. You've already made up your minds. But that gentleman had a good point. You are gonna have leaves in the street. Who's gonna clean them up? You're gonna have the residents clean up the leaves in front of their house in the street, or is the city gonna clean up those leaves? You will have leaves, like he said, more than you think. Have you thought about that? Do you have a solution for that? Could we hear your solution for that?
We have a code enforcement officer, and we get complaints about the streets and leaves in the streets, then code enforcement officer has a right to.
Why couldn't you do that without having us pay every month for those that already have it taken care of? Why couldn't you do just what you said?
Because we're saving you money.
You're not saving me a dime.
So just
You're costing me
to
money.
respect the process, I'm just gonna allow you to finish your comment, and then we can talk after the meeting, but I wanna make sure we respect your time right now, so.
Well, I just think you're making a big mistake, because some of us, I have a yard man. I'm 76 years old. You think I'm gonna go out and fill leaves in a bag and pull it to the road? No. I have a yard man that mows my lawn, picks up my leaves, spring and fall. Why do I have to pay the city when I'm already doing it? I feel I'm paying for other people. And I don't think that's fair. I don't mind paying my fair share, but I don't appreciate paying other people's. And they're not gonna clean them up, even if you have that set in stone.
Well, okay.
But you're gonna attach it to the water bill?
I
You can't answer me.
Answer that.
Yeah, well, see, I'm trying to respect citizens' comment, but the thing actually, this is actually, in a sense, it's actually more everyone carrying their own weight, because right now, we have a millage, for, solid waste pickup. So, you know, when you pay, you're not paying the city, I mean, it's going to a company, and when you pay them, you're paying for the services you receive, so you're not actually paying. Yeah, so. Are there any other citizens' comments? Yes, ma'am.
Jan Pusey, 115 East North Street. On the code enforcement, I don't think there's really that much code enforcement going on in this town. From what I see every time I come back, it gets worse and worse. So how is that gonna be enforced with the people that are supposed to come and rake their yards and they don't, and all the leaves blow in my yard, and I've gotta go back and haul off other people's stuff from my yard? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any, oh, yes, ma'am.
Judith Trine, 111 Colfax Street. In here somewhere, I'm so upset right now, I can't think too good, but it says that if we don't get Granger as a pickup, a one-time guy or whatever, we're gonna be charged $100 a day for not having them. How do you propose, any of us, including you, because I know you have a good job at the college, you, how do you propose you're gonna pay $100 a day fine if you can't afford to pay $42 and whatever a month? That is unreal. Nobody living in the town of Albion can afford that kind of fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizen comments?
Did you, Doug Jones, 201 South Berrien. Did you say you could bring up anything, just about? Or does it have to be agenda items only?
No, this is general comment to council.
Okay, how can I make, I've made a few complaints about stray cats. It wouldn't be so bad, but now the people in the neighborhood are told their landlord that just live by me to quit feeding the cats up by their house, so they brought it to the backyard, about 20 feet from my back door. Now I have cat feces. When I walk out of my house, I gotta look where I walk. I mean, they literally walk, they poo on my porch. They go potty on my chairs on my deck. I mean, and sometimes I look out the door and there I got 2 or 3 cats sitting on my porch. I've complained to the public safety. I came down here and they more or less say you can't do anything and don't you do anything to them. Well, you know, it gets kind of tired when I go in the house and I start smelling the smell and, man. Or the grandkids come over and they play catch or we play kickball, and if you're smart, you go out and look for them. But I'm just saying, sometimes there's up to 14 cats out there. And this is just, the lady's a cat lover. It's part of my fault because I let the first one about 3 or 4 years ago have its litter in my shed. It found a hole in the back where you can't see it. I didn't see it. So I let the cats get old enough to where when they all wandered out, I put a board over the hole, and now we got 14 plus cats. She brings out, if I could even bring you pictures, big trays of water, big trays of food. You look around the fence, because I got a privacy fence back there. You look around the fence, be 2 or 3 cats sitting back there just waiting for it to come back out and bring some new food. I'm just wondering if there's anything at all, because I thought you weren't supposed to feed them. There's ordinance against it unless it's a, like a sanctuary cat area established by, I'm taking it, the council or whoever.
I can't answer directly. I know that has definitely come before council.
You know, I'm getting kind of, like,
Yes, yeah.
my wife hasn't sat in it very lately, but sometimes if she forgets to put her seat up and she sits down and her bottom's wet,
Just
kind of mad.
Just for your sake, if you would let me, there's an ordinance regarding this, so I'm gonna let the city attorney address that for you. So, just,
Okay.
We did pass an ordinance in 2014 that prohibited the feeding of feral or wild cats. So if you are observing somebody personally feed stray cats, I would report that to either the Department of Public Safety or Glenn Tracy, who's our code enforcement officer. Either one of those, either code enforcement or the police department can cite the individual for it.
Done, already done, more than once. Talk to Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a retired city employee, I know these people.
I mean, we can,
And French doesn't live too far away, I'm sure some of my cats are going to your house. I live at,
and then,
Okay.
and if you have reported it and if it hasn't been taken care of yet, we can address that with public.
absolutely.
you know, it was happening pretty good because the
Yeah.
people that owned Lumbertown were trapping them. Well, the college bought Lumbertown, and I don't think they're trapping them anymore, and they're,
So if you just stay after the meeting,
Okay,
we can
okay.
talk. Thank
Thank you.
Councilman Barnes.
Would you share information with him, the Friends of Albion Animals? John Condolit, we have a complete system to pick them up if they would like them to be picked up.
Okay.
We get them spayed and.
Can you stay after the meeting real quick to let him?
No, okay.
Are there any other
I
citizen,
need to hear that side.
are there any other additional citizens' comments this evening? Okay.
Yes, I live on North Mingo Street. We have a problem in our area. People, the ordinance says you have to clean your walkways out in the snow, correct?
Yes.
How come people, when they snow blow, they shovel, they throw it out in the road? I meant, that should not be allowed. You know, that's how I feel. You should respect, I mean, if the city is gonna plow the roads for us to get us through, why should people snow blow it, and then you gotta go out and clean it? So I don't understand, if there's a city ordinance, is there something can be done without them doing that? Because to me, I have a senior citizen lives next to me, and she rents. She don't have nobody, you know, plowing her out or nothing. I do it.
Okay.
But people comes and just,
Okay.
or they would snow blow or shovel their driveway and throw it right in the yard, or throw it in our driveway or something. That's not, to me, that's not fair to the other people that does what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
Because I figure we should respect our neighbors too. I mean, if they're gonna snow blow it in the driveway, do it in your driveway, do it in your yard, please don't do it in the road.
Okay.
In case an emergency vehicle has to get down that street.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other citizens' comments? If I don't see any.
Paul Pullman, I live on Walnut Street. If we don't sign the paper for this garbage service, we're gonna be fined $100 a day?
It's a requirement. Well, as Councilmember French said earlier, right now, you can be fined if you don't have garbage, whether or not there's one hauler or not, because if the city requires you, if you have a house, to have garbage service. That's been a long-standing
Right.
ordinance, so. Seeing, Jay. Mr. Loomis.
J. Loomis, 408 West Ash Street. It was my understanding that the $100 fine was assessed by code enforcement,
Well,
and also that then that would go on city taxes.
Well, yeah, for the fine can be, or the ticket, the civil infraction ticket can be written by either code enforcement or the public safety department, or quite frankly, anybody that the city manager designates to do that. The civil infraction ticket is issued depending upon how it's issued. If it remains as a city, internally with the city and it doesn't get paid, it could get added to taxes. The billings from the refuse manager do not get added to taxes.
Yeah,
Fine.
and right.
If the ticket is contested and it goes over to 10th District Court, the court will enforce payment.
Yeah, which is okay. Thank you very much.
okay, seeing no other comments, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you.